In the JOF, you have a bunch of infantrymen up front and a bunch of lawyers behind them with bags of money. I was one of those lawyers with bags of money. I was helping rebuild the city, whether it was homes, schools, hospitals, any damages we or the Mahdi militia did, didn't matter who did the damage to a hospital or a home, we would pay condolence payments, saying, look, we're sorry for what happened. We're not saying we did anything wrong, but we want to help make this right. And so I'd have $250,000 strapped on my back, or my Marines' backs, and we'd go out and we'd try to help rebuild the city. And the JOF is a success story today. I believe they're building an international airport there. If it's not already done, they have nice communities there now. It's a pilgrimage site for all the Shia in that region, really all over the world. It's the holiest city in the Shia religion. The Ali Men shrines there, which is like the Vatican for the Shia religion. So we did a lot of great things in the JOF. After the Battle of the JOF and the cleanup action that I was part of was over, I got sent up to the 1st Marine Division and was attached to the 1st Marine Regiment. They wanted me to help out set up the largest humanitarian assistance site in the Second Battle of Fallujah while the fighting was going on, so that after the fight was over, we could bring the 20,000 to 30,000 refugees that were just north of the city back into the city. A very different fight in Fallujah. It was Al-Qaeda, it was a lot of the Ba'athists. It was really the hardcore fighters. That was where Zarqawi, who was in charge of Al-Qaeda in Iraq at the time, said, we're going to stand our ground and fight here. That's where the torture chambers were, that's where the IED factories were, that's where all the bad things in the world at that time were happening. A lot of you remember that there were 4 American contractors that were murdered there and then dragged through the streets, burned, and then hung from a bridge in Fallujah. And that's where that happened. 2 of them were Navy SEALs. I'll go down one small rabbit hole real quick. The 3 Navy SEALs that caught the guy that murdered those 4 U.S. patriots were accused by that murdering SOB Al-Qaeda guy of getting punched in the gut, meaning 1 Navy SEAL punched him in the gut. I believe that's what he accused them of. All 3 of them went through a court-martial process because our government took the word of a murderous Al-Qaeda terrorist rather than 3 Navy SEALs. All 3 of them were acquitted. They had to go through a year of the court-martial process to get to that state. That should never happen in America. It shouldn't happen, while I'm in Congress. I'll try to make a point of that not happening. Anyway, a very proud moment when I did get to that area and saw where that bridge was, that we had pacified the city and we were able, long story short, to bring the refugees back in the city. Nobody got killed. We were concerned that there were too many choke points and there'd be a suicide bomber. It didn't happen. Where the New York Times called the Al-Anbar province, where Fallujah was, as a lost cause. The Second Battle of Fallujah shifted the tide for the fight in Al-Anbar province, and really was the beginning of, wasn't the beginning of the surge, but it was the beginning of the concept of how do we defeat Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and it's through a bigger surge like we had in Fallujah that we ended up winning the battle in Iraq. I will say, while I'm on the subject of Iraq, that someone that just joined our campaign is an old friend of mine, Rick McSork, was with the last fighting battalion of Marines in Iraq. Supposed to be there for 6 or 7 months. He got home early, 4 months, because there was no fight any longer in Iraq as far as, Marines fighting bad guys. So the only people left in Iraq are support people to help train their military, train their police force. And Rick has told me, and I trust him inherently, that they're ready to take over. So the fighting war is over, now it's the political war. We had Maliki and Alawi just had an election, and Alawi's party won. There's a little bit of trouble now trying to form a new government, but if that new government is formed and it's peaceful, I believe that the war in Iraq will be truly over, and that we have a lot to be proud of for what we did as a country over there. If we have a country that's sort of democratic, that's sort of friendly to America in the heart of the Middle East, that's a good thing. Anyway, I came back from Iraq. I finished up doing my prosecuting duties in Miramar, and then my wife and I got pregnant and had our first baby, and my priorities once again changed. I didn't want to stay into the Marine Corps any longer, be an absentee father, perhaps, and I thought I did my duty, so a war memorial in San Diego brought me to Michigan. That war memorial is Mount Soledad Cross. It's been there since 1954. Really, it's been there since 1913, but it was a war memorial starting in 1954. One ACLU guy and a federal judge said, tear it down, and they were going to tear it down. The mayor said, I'm not going to fight it anymore.